We put the 950 CFM VRS on the GMC truck and it ran horrible, as to be expected. But now let's take and put the right size carburetor, tune it, and see how she runs. If you're not familiar with the VRS carburetor, I had one of the first ones on the market. I had the first 950 that was on the market, and I did a full review of that carburetor where we tore it down, showed you all the features and benefits of it. It's a really good video. It's a couple years old. I'll leave a link down below, or I'll put it up above so you can go take a look at it if you haven't seen all the features on this thing. But literally, it's one of the coolest, trickiest, and probably least expensive carburetors on the market that have the number of features that that one does. It's a 4-circuit carburetor, got much bigger bowls on it. They've got mustaches on the inside to keep the float control down. One of the only carburetors on the market that has a TPS built into it, so if you're running a transmission that requires throttle position to activate and run correctly, they gave you a nice, easy provision to bolt one on. Comes with a supplementary idle air adjuster so you can add more air to it if you got a big rowdy cam, and you need it to calm down a little bit so you can control the idle speed. Now this is the 650 that we tore down in the original video, and it does not have annular boosters. These have a down leg style booster in it. There's probably a couple of reasons for that, but I am assuming just based on the style, the design of it, that it probably didn't need an annular booster, and it's more of a race style carburetor, doesn't have a choke mechanism on it. I'm assuming that the down leg style booster flowed enough fuel just fine on the 650 CFM carb. For the price that these are, they're not a lot of money when you get all of those features in there. And really the biggest key to it as a race type carburetor, having the 4-circuit adjustments, huge, idle, intermediate, and 2 of the high speed air bleeds and all the emulsions on the inside to really, really get down and dirty in tuning all of those little points. But with all that information, you need to have a data logger or some way to figure out what the carburetor is actually looking for. You can't make those adjustments blindly, hoping to get it right. You're going to need to have something that tells you exactly what those corrections made and what it did to the engine. So if you're tuning on a dyno with dyno headers that have, EGT in every port, or O2 sense, multiple O2s where you can read a lot of different readings and look at it at every RPM level, hugely beneficial when you're working with that many adjustments on the air bleeds and the emulsions. So it's not something to be taken lightly. Now today, I don't know how far we're going to get into that. We're going to see what the engine wants and what the AFR tells us. We'll take a look at engine vacuum and during those all those events, and then we will also obviously monitor RPM as we're going through it. But more often than not, on a typical little street car, you're not going to have to monkey with the air bleeds or the emulsions. So we'll see how far down the road we get with that, but we have the ability to do that. Plus a little bit of experience doing it kind of helps out a little bit. So here's what we're going to do. Let me go ahead and get this swapped over. The 950 is currently on the GMC from last week's video, and we'll get that off. We'll put the 650 on there, and then we'll talk a little bit how we're going to do the testing on this. Little tweak into the idle mixture, got their speed set, we're ready to roll. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. First thing I'm going to do is we're double check timing and play with that just a touch, see if we're still liking what it sees. I believe it probably will. CFM isn't any greater on this carburetor than it is on the AVS2 that's on here. However, this type of carburetor tends to deliver a little bit more fuel even with the AFR setting where it's at. And kind of cool to listen to that when you change the idle mixture and hear the RPM come down or up based on how much fuel you're taking away from it. So very neat little deal just to, kind of tweak it and hear that. What we're going to do is just simply the same thing we did in the other tuning videos. It's stock in its calibration right now, so we're going to leave it alone. Still has the 4.5 power valves in it. I forget the jet sizes. I'll leave it on the screen so you know where it's at. But you might as well just start from the stock calibration, see how it works, and if it doesn't like it, it'll tell us. The AFR will tell us. It'll tell us on drivability, how the power is, how the transition is from off idle through, a little bit more throttle, cruise RPM to wide open throttle. All those things will tell us on the AFR. And that's basically it. Same way I calibrate any carburetor or start tuning on a carburetor. Might as well just try it right out of the box and start from a base tuning point. There's no magic formula, Some guys that are very, very experienced on the carburetor side might say, well, take this out or put this in, whatever. It's just so much easier to just start from the base calibration. That way you got a good place to start from and go from there. So let's get this out on the road. Check the timing again, get this out on the road, and yeah, we'll start the tuning process. Okay, we're all set to go. Idle AFR is a little bit of a moving target, it seems, but we'll try to play with that. I've got all my initial settings written down here, so we can keep track of that. Again, that's always a good deal to do, because that way if you've got any issues, you can kind of always go back to previous settings and, readjust if you need to, if you make too big of moves or stuff that the engine didn't like. You kind of know where you're at instead of having to rely on memory. So this should go pretty quickly, I think, today. I don't imagine it's going to take too long. The primary and secondary jets at a 66 are not that bad. I can see us definitely, the first move here is going to be to determine where that power valve is coming in. Obviously our engine vacuum is pretty strong, so I anticipate we're going to have a little bit of wobble here at the very beginning trying to figure that out. But I think, I'll just make a guess, eventually we'll probably go to a 6.5 or an 8.5 power valve and call it good, but we'll see. So all part of the tuning process. Power valves first, but this is the stock calibration on the carburetor, and I got a lot of questions on that with every video I've done on tuning. Start with the stock calibration first. If the CFM of the carburetor, in this case the 650 CFM, is the right size for your application, and you're not doing something stupid like the 950 we did a week ago on this GMC truck, it's not a bad idea to start there. So that's why we're starting there. It's not that I'm making just random guesses as to what we're going to put in here. Go ahead and start there. It'll give you a good calibration. I am quite certain that this carburetor was calibrated on an engine that was probably just a little bit spicier than this one, but not much. So we should be pretty close. So let's do some driving. Let's take some readings of what's happening and see what move we need to make first. Interesting on the power valve, we're definitely not open at 20 inches of vacuum. We're very rich. Going about 55 miles per hour. We're a little lean at idle. Power valve's open. Our power valve was close to being open. See how we're bouncing around at cruise idle or cruise speed here? About 40 miles per hour. And we are wildly going all over the place. So we need to kind of figure out why that's happening. Histogram tells us, see all this really big aggressive spikes lean. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. A little bit of a stumble to it. I mean, we're really, really lean now. I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make that power valve change first and see if we can correct some of these lean conditions. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right to that 8.5 power valve and see how it works out. You've heard me mention, I don't know, dozens of times, hopefully anyway, that when you're tuning a carburetor, make one change at a time. Well, this time is one of those rare conditions where I'm going to be making 2 changes at this time. Both, and I thought I checked these, I guess I didn't, these auxiliary air ports that are designed to let a little bit more air in at idle were about half a turn out on both of them. So driver's or passenger side was a little further out than passengers or driver side. Sorry. So I closed those off. It just was, sitting here thinking through it, and it just didn't make much sense. So I've got those closed down. So get it fired back up, we'll adjust idle, but I'll let this cool down for a minute, and then I think what we're going to do is make a power valve change, and then we'll start looking at jetting. So we'll start there, see what happens. Okay, now we went a little too far. A little on the rich side now. Just maintaining part throttle. Little on the fat side. Okay. I know I went too far. Couple of things here. For whatever reason, the initial power valve change video, I guess I didn't turn the cameras on. All right, sorry, bad for me. Anyway, we did that. It was a little bit better, but I decided to go a little bit richer on the primary jet. And as you just saw, we were certainly a little fatter than I wanted to be at cruise. But I'm not going to make that change right away. I'm going to go drive a little bit more, get out on some roads that are, allow me to sustain 55, 60 miles per hour for a little bit longer, and we'll see how it works out. But idle is good now. We're still making good vacuum, and yeah, I'm not upset where we're at right now. Definitely fatter than we were before, that's for sure. Hasn't really changed too much. We're certainly staying at that 12.0 at a light cruise here. See, we're sustaining speed pretty well. Vacuum's a little under 20 inches. But yeah. Okay. I got the confirmation I wanted. That was what was important to me. Sometimes carburetor tuning, even with an AFR, isn't about making immediate changes. It's about spending a little bit of time verifying it, getting in some different driving situations. I caught up to traffic here, but in certain areas it just drops down a little too rich for me. So, all right. We got the data we need. Let's go make a change. All right, here's where we're at. So I made a number of changes. It was easier to do it off camera than just keep trying to film this and do it at the same time. Right now, we've made a power valve change. We are at a 6.5 power valve. I went ahead and dropped down in the jet size again. We are back to the 66, I believe. Just working on the primaries right now, not really working on anything in the secondaries. So once I get that dialed in, we'll get some more of the wide open throttle stuff done. But to be very honest, it's not performing that bad wide open throttle. We're getting closer on it. It's just a matter of just dialing in and trying a few things and seeing where we're at. So right now, we were a little fat in the cruise mode. So let's see if that took care of it, and do a little driving here and see what we can figure out. Completely off the gas there, that's why we're going dead rich, but drives really, really good. A little richer than what I want to. I can take a little bit more jet out of it, but right now, cruising at 60 miles per hour, it's definitely rich, and pulling some fuel out of it definitely helped. So I may drop down another 2 sizes on the primary jet, see what happens to it. But right now it cruises pretty well. Got great throttle response, no dead spots in it. Just gets up and goes. Slow down a little bit here. Completely off the gas. Alright. Let's roll into the throttle, see what happens. We're a light throttle, but not completely off. But really, it was right where I wanted to be at cruise. You know, we're going 60 miles per hour. Again, a little rich, but I think we could take a little bit more primary jet out of there and make that all right. I'm enjoying the hell out of driving this thing, actually. It's got good throttle response, good. I'm cruising at 13.5, 13.0. Yeah, we could take a little bit more fuel out of it. Definitely could take some more jet out of it, so. All right, we're learning. Caught a little hesitation there, but that was literally a standing start, stabbed the throttle, pretty much wide open throttle. So we still have some little things to tune out of it, that's for sure. But yeah, if you saw the 950 video where we put the 950 CFM VRS on here, it didn't do that. So we got some adjustments to make. So let me pull over, let her cool down for a minute, and see what we're gonna try next in her. Got some rain moving in, so I think this may end the day today. But let me just show you where we, how we ran and where we ended up. So again, we started with factory setting, which was a 66 jets, 4.5 power valve. I knew the 4.5 wasn't going to last, but we did retain those and the secondary jets at that. Again, when we get into some more wide open throttle stuff, and that's going to be very soon with this truck, because we're heading to the dyno here, hopefully in a week or two, to do some testing on something else, which I will show you that video when we get there. But for sure, we're going to be making some changes there. But we made that first power valve change, drastic step from the 4.5 up to the 8.5. It was certainly not what it wanted, but it did help me understand where we were at and where we're going to be at for the cruise mode. And a little bit on the idle side. Obviously, the power valve doesn't affect that, but you're tuning all those things kind of at once. Timing stayed pretty much the same. We were still at about 16 degrees before top dead center. I added a little bit more to that when we started getting a little fat here in the cruise mode. Didn't help out at all. The hot starts are a little bit of a issue with that, so we just put it back to 16. I think we push it all the way up to 18. I knew this engine didn't like that too much, so that's where we're at. Changed the jets, went up to the 668 in the primary side. Then we backed down on the power valve, went to a 6.5, which where I should have started, no big deal. And then we backed off the jets a little bit. My next step is probably to make another jet change, see if that will lean us out just a hair in the cruise side. Make sure that it doesn't affect us too much negatively on, drivability, that, aggressive, rolling off of part throttle, right off idle, getting from, dead stop up to 55, 60 miles per hour, whatever it is. So I think we can do that. I don't think if I drop maybe down to a 64, I think that might be a little too lean. We're going to find out. I am still learning that carburetor. It is new to me. I've had it for a couple of years, but this is my first opportunity to tune it on this truck. And take the time to learn it. Every carburetor is just a little bit different. There's some rule of thumb stuff you can follow, but certainly when you're on a new design like that, something that's new to you, whether it's Edelbrock VRS, whether it's AVS2, whether it's Performer, whether it's a old Holly 3310 or a double pumper, whatever it is, it's going to take you a little bit of time to understand what it likes, what it doesn't like. There's a lot of settings on this carburetor, so just be aware that it may take you a little bit of time to get it all figured out. So that's where we're at with it. It was a little quicker than I thought it would be, but I kind of figured it was going to go fairly quickly because the 650 CFM is certainly the better size carburetor for that. We proved that a little bit with some aggressive start like that, and certainly with the 950 it just killed it right away. It was too big of a carburetor. That's what you should expect out of it. The 650 did a lot better when put in those more aggressive situations. It's easier to tune. So again, I know folks want to argue that there's no such thing as putting too big of a carburetor on a vehicle, but I hope we prove that. The drivability and the data says that we did, but there are still folks who want to argue that you can put a 800, 900, probably a 1250 Dominator on a street car and it will drive just fine. So anyway, this one's almost a little bit of a to be continued. I'll probably put some updates on it as soon as this rain blows through. It's supposed to be here for a couple hours, but I may come back to this later on today and take some jet out of it. See what we can do and see how it cruises, drives, and all that. But I'll probably throw some updates on Instagram or maybe in the Facebook group. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it. Happy the way it performs really well. Drives really nice. It's fat as hell, but we can tune that down a little bit and get it to where it needs to. Again, we did nothing with the jets, or excuse me, the emulsions, and we did nothing with the air bleeds. And I do believe with this carburetor, in most instances, you're not going to need to do that on a street car. So take all that info with a little bit of a grain of salt. Yes, the adjustability is there, but unless you're doing some more aggressive data logging, taking in a little bit more data than I was able to do here, it's really hard to make those changes without getting yourself into a situation where, yeah, it's not going to perform nearly as well as you think it does. So if you got any questions on this one, leave them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. Again, very, very, very happy with this carburetor. Very fun to drive. And yeah, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this one for a little while. But eventually the AVS2 will go back on here because that's what this truck is. It's not a hot rod. It's not meant to go 6,500 and, make quarter-mile passes. It's just a cruiser. It's just a driver. When we get to the Chevelle, we'll have a little bit more aggressive fun. So anyway, we'll catch you guys on the next one. We'll see you.